Are you aware that there are 12 planes per every 1,000 people who live here in Alaska? Are you aware that Alaska is the highest per capita ownership for aviation and airplanes for the entire country, being 16 times higher than what the national average is? Well, today we're going to show you a house here in Eagle River that really does reflect that. And we're going to really show you how a house can be not simply a place where you sleep, but it can also be a stepping off place that gives you the opportunity to access the entire state. So I'm really looking forward to taking a look at this and drawing upon my years of experience of helping hundreds of people buy and sell real estate here in Alaska to show you how this property is kind of an unappreciated gem right here in the middle of Eagle River. But without further ado, let's go and take a look. Now, when you're accessing this property, you go directly into the kitchen as you were entering the property here. And as you can see, I mean, it's kind of nicely updated. You know, they've put in some effort to try to bring it up to the current times here. The property was built back in '49, so you can kind of see the remnants of like an older kind of a layout. You know, I will say that solid wood flooring in there, so that's really nice. But there's definitely some things about this property that does make it seem a little bit on the older side. I did really like this big room here on the top level because you do get that really nice view of the lake. And you kind of get that corner window situation there where you get plenty of sunlight in there, and that's really nice. Plus, you do have that big wood stove right there, and that is pretty much going to heat the entire house. Now, one of the downsides for this property is that there is no interior access to the downstairs. So you do have to go through that little downstairs steps right there. And during the wintertime, that can be, you know, obviously a little bit of an inconvenience. You do see this big water tank over there in the left-hand corner. I wanted to kind of emphasize a little bit. That is designed just for wells that are kind of low flow, which means they might only produce, we'll say, like a gallon or so a minute, just as an example. And then that large tank just fills up over the course of the day, and that extra water just kicks in and will provide enough water for the house, like as needed. So that's a really nice little feature there. You know, for people that are going to be purchasing this house, though, the big benefit is going to be having the direct access to the lake and being able to take off and land without really having to do anything else. Usually when you've got an association, you don't have direct on the lake or on the runway access, and you do have that here. One thing I also kind of kept asking myself about this property, and this is really what makes this property stand apart from anything over in the valley, for instance, is that there's a lot more convenience in having this property right here in Eagle River, where you are minutes away from shopping and conveniences, and really just a really short commute over to Acreage, where most people are actually going to be working. And if you were to get something over in Big Lake or the Mat-Su Valley, like, there's going to be some great perks there, don't get me wrong, but also you're going to be driving way more and you're probably going to be flying way less. So that's really the big perk here. Also, another really nice thing about this lake specifically is you can see from Murph Island over on the north side there, To the other side of the lake, it's approximately 2,000 feet, so I'm going to be blunt, unless you just really suck at landing, that should be plenty of space to land. Another really nice thing about this property is even if you're not a pilot or an aviator, you can get into the canoeing, kayaking, paddleboarding, fishing, ice skating, and skiing on the lake as well. But obviously downsides is going to be that house does need some work to update it and everything. And you know, there's, like I mentioned before, there's no interior access to the downstairs. It's also close to the Glen Highway, so you're probably going to be getting some commuting noise coming in there as well. So that's what I'm seeing there. You know, this property is an absolute dream for aviators out there that are just looking for kind of a close, easy access to Anchorage, so you're not having to go all the way out to the valley. And for someone who's wanting to live in Alaska but not necessarily wanting to give up the conveniences of town either. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.